We were best friends for years. I was like his little sister to him, and he was a big brother to me. He was there for me throughout all of my teenage years, dating people, and me the same way with him, getting advice, being there for each other. I, I, I love him, and I know I do, but it's that trying to turn that love on, secretly. I don't want to love him like that.
Me and Demetrius have known each other all of our life. The history is my parents and his parents are best friends, close friends. Go over his house, come over his house, and next thing we know, my mom and dad, we moved to Tennessee.
My mom kept telling me, Vanessa, you're gonna marry him. And I was like, no, I am not going to marry him. That is my best friend. That's like a brother. We are never going to get married. I don't look at him that way. We actually did not turn into a relationship until I was like 19, 20 years old.
And then lo and behold, he ended up going here, coming to Nashville. And so we've been doing everything together ever since we were born. And so we have a lot of history, starting with our parents. And so it's been a wonderful friendship. It's been a wonderful ride. And once he called me back and told him they were sold on going to Fisk, I was just like, wow, I'm gonna have my best friend here in Nashville, and I knew we was gonna have a lot of great times, a lot of fun, and get into a little trouble,
When I first arrived at Fisk in 1992, it was my first time being away from home, and I had a mother and a father, and never being away from Cincinnati, Ohio. It was a major adjustment. I had the suit on, the shirt, the tie, the briefcase. Most of the students were looking at me, they thought I was a teacher. I actually had to pull my license out on the first day here in campus in the cafeteria because they were saying, no, you're a teacher. I said, I'm 18, and they wouldn't believe it. So a big struggle was mine. Again, I was a quarterback in high school. I had a 3.8 GPA, played shortstop, basketball. So I was anticipating a football and baseball career in college. And of course, Fisk University had no athletic prominence here.
My relationship with the university has always been around the enrollment process. And very early on in my career at Fisk, I was a recruiter. And so as a recruiter, you get a chance to really know who the real leaders are on your campus, because you need their help, quite frankly, to encourage other students to be who they are and help recruit other bright minds to your university. Well, very quickly, Demetrius exemplified himself as one of those outstanding students, a standout practically.
He was well read. I mean, he started talking to me about things that I never considered. Politics, which I always thought I never wanted to have a part in it. Why that was relevant, about business, about, culture, WB, what that means for African Americans, what it means for Americans and students. I mean, we would have conversations when he would cut my hair about all sorts of things that were just fascinating to me that I had never really had an interest in.
And you can make it in other places, but to absolutely thrive, be the best that you can be. And so I'm so thankful that they're doing that and that they have done it. And I think if we had more students who are able to mentor, we probably would have even more students, at Fisk, perpetually, generationally mentoring. And that's what we're doing, but Demetrius is, those few years that he was here, he led a lot of that charge. And so when he left, some of the enthusiasm remained, but Demetrius would charge him up again. This is something we have to do. And he did it by example. He didn't just talk that game, he walked that walk. And so he and people like Devani and, so many of the other young men, they have mastered that trade.
Where even myself, I'm a fighter too, but even in those moments where I didn't want to fight, I wanted to give up and go home and, just accept mediocrity. He was that guy that kept saying, keep going. This is how you do it. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Well, they don't like me because of this, because of that. Who cares? Keep going. Keep going. You got there's a greater award that's here. We got so many other people we have to help along the way.
But what I think is so wonderful about him is that it was not with a selfish demeanor. It was not with a sense of how can I use what I'm fantastically good at for my own ends, but in fact, how can they meet the needs of other people?
So humble with that at the same time. So he just, I guess he made me desire to love learning.
But Demetrius is a person who's very easy to know. I mean, he has an energy about him that makes you want to know him. I mean, he gravitates to you, and he was smart enough to know those individuals who could help him. And so, he was a brilliant young man, absolutely brilliant, but he had an enthusiasm and an energy about him that I knew employers would appreciate. So as Director of Career Services, when Caterpillar came to recruit, I knew Demetrius would be a good fit.
It wasn't until after we left Fisk that I knew he was making that trek. You always see the success, but you don't often understand the cost of that success.
And so one of the first difficulties that I encountered was just the financial, how do I pay for the school? And then I arrived here, so my first plan was be here for a semester, then practice and transfer and go to a university and acquire an athletic scholarship. And that didn't happen. So I had to end up paying for school on my own, and the shame of, and now that not being a part of me, how am I going to now pay for college? Because that was what I put all my money and hope on. So the financial end was the first thing. The second thing was just the transportation. How do I get back and forth to work? But that proved to be a blessing in disguise here years later in developing the story about the 5K. It was a long conversation with why I walked. Everyone asked, why didn't you just ask someone or bum a ride with a friend with a car? I asked my father to get a car, and that course didn't go the way I wanted. And I didn't have time in between classes. How do I, catch a ride? But the biggest thing was the shame. I had a certain rapport with students. And to see this guy with a suit on, $400 or $500 shoes, from a prominent family, preacher's kid, and to say he doesn't have a car or his family won't help him out, that shame just was a big part of me to just keep this thing inside and not tell anyone my family why. So I just said, hey, just walk. You got to get there. You're in between classes. You have to make money to help pay for school. And so I just looked at my feet and said, man, let's get it. And I just started walking to and fro campus to my internships every day.
Of course, I run at the YMCA, and it was downtown, and I'm always challenging people at the Y. And so he was running, and I just like, surely you can run faster than that.
Please.
So am I saying something?
No, I'm gonna say it. So
Okay.
you just kind of do what we do.